Matrix Reloaded turns 20 today. Wow, do I feel old. The Matrix Reloaded was such a highly anticipated sequel. Let me preface this by saying that a lot of people my age probably equated Lord of the Rings to their Star Wars, as far as it being a trilogy, as far as a groundbreaking visual effects and the story. But for me, maybe it was just me being the oddball out, my Star Wars was the Matrix films. And that started back in 1999 when I saw the original Matrix on VHS. I never got to catch it in theaters. I was only 8. So I saw that on home video. And that movie was confusing as hell the first time, yet changed my life in so many ways. And just seeing Neo dodge the bullet, noticing that it was an artificial world, just everything in that film is just groundbreaking. And it's a shame that it had sequels because I think people forget how groundbreaking and influential that first film really is, you know? And the sequels kind of knock it down a couple of notches. That being said, I wasn't one of those people who hated the sequels in any way. I was a little disappointed by Revolutions, but I love Matrix Reloaded just as much as I do The Matrix. Matrix Reloaded was such an awesome film to see. And The Matrix, as groundbreaking as it was inevitable that they were going to announce a sequel, let alone 2 filmed back to back. I think I saw the teaser trailer to this on Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. I know that's crazy, a PG movie having an R-rated movie trailer, but it had that saying, this is the very meaning of our lives. If we fight, we have to protect Zion. He's giving that speech that he does at the end of the film Morpheus. And you see all these characters, and I remember hearing the Rage Against the Machine music where it's just come on! And you just see Neo do the little fist thing here, and then it has the music, and then him putting the glasses and everything. It had Reloaded, and then Revolutions, and it had 2003 on the teaser. And that was such a holy shit moment of okay, this is gonna be epic. A lot of Christ metaphors, very philosophical, even more so than the first. And I was excited to see it. I remember it being May 15th on a Thursday. I unfortunately couldn't see it yet because it was rated R and I had a band concert. I remember it because May 14th at Hastings, I got the Rocky IV soundtrack on cassette. I know. I was I'm going to get into cassettes. The reason why I stopped buying cassettes, the next day. I tell you, I had the band concert, and it was a good concert, but you know how schools have a pole where 2 double doors go through? Well, they took out the pole, and my tall self with my giant feet didn't see it, fell, hit my knee, kind of dislocated it a bit. It wasn't until I hit it again several years later that it got put back in place, you know? But it was horrible. I was on an ice pack. I remember the Lakers losing in a glorious fashion to the San Antonio Spurs. That was a year they went to their championship, and me being from Texas, I'm a Spurs fan, so that was great. But I was listening to Rocky IV on my headsets. I had an actual CD box, battery operated. It was before portable stuff. That thing got eaten up. It was horrible. So then I looked, and I was in Austin at the time, Austin American Statesman, and Matrix got 2 stars out of 5. It wasn't very good, but they have some cool art and they're talking about it. I still wanted to go see it because I'm not one to entirely pay attention to reviews. It's if I really want to see something, I'm going to go ahead and make my own mind on it, whether they're right or wrong, you know? And I kept begging my parents, I want to see it. And at the time, theaters were actually a lot more strict, at least in that area back then, because my brother and I were going to go see it, but you actually needed a guardian. That wasn't a brother. It had to be a mother or father. Nowadays, I see kids go to R movies all the time. There's no parental supervision. Back then, you needed a parent, and I was really bummed because I wanted to see this movie so bad. It's funny because Shrek 2 came out around the same time, and there is a bunch of older people at Shrek 2. Matrix Reloaded was a bunch of teenagers my age. Seriously, 12 to 15-year-olds. In Matrix Reloaded that Saturday. And we went to go see it on a Saturday. The first rated R movie I saw in a theater. Not my first rated R film. I think that might have been Die Hard Lethal Weapon back in the day. Maybe even Desperado or True Lies. Because I saw stuff with my parents. And that was a groundbreaking moment. Seeing my first R-rated movie. I just turned 12. Saw Daredevil, and I was looking forward to T3 that year. The Hulk, Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, X-Men 2. Actually, we saw X-Men 2 already. So I just saw X-Men 2, and then this is Matrix Reloaded. Absolutely loved it. It had its slow moments. You had moments Trinity and Neo kind of got it going on, the whole orgy scene with Fluke. Juno Reactor on the soundtrack. The Matrix Reloaded soundtrack was awesome. I mean, Mona Lisa Overdrive and that sequence is still one of the best. But the trilogy itself has certain themes, with Matrix having themes of birth. Matrix Reloaded has themes of life, where Revolutions is death, and of course, Resurrections is about resurrection and the afterlife, so to speak, legacy. Reloaded, while it was a bit slow at the beginning, once it hit the Agent Smith scene after the Oracle speech, that film got insane. And it's weird because now you look at these older films like Blade 2, Matrix Reloaded, or Spider Man in some degree, and they look a little dated because they have the waxy computer figures during the fighting. Well, back then I thought it all looked real. For some reason, like when I first saw it, I didn't notice where it went from computer to live action right away. So that sequence is a bit more dated now, and it did have a green tint more compared to the 4K release, but I absolutely love it from that. The Merovingian was a cool character, seeing how programs get deleted, seeing Agent Smith being brought back. Now, sequelitis, that happens in a lot of sequels. This is the first one that kind of did it with the same villain coming back. And then you saw Pirates of the Caribbean do it with Barbosa. And recently, just Avatar with a certain villain from the first movie coming back in some way. Where I'm like, if they just focused on a new threat, it would have been kind of cool. Agent Smith in itself is like a virus. Zion was cool to see, a bit different than our preconceptions. It's kind of like hearing about the Clone Wars and then stuff in the prequels and imagining it for all these years and then seeing the prequels and you're like, okay, that's cool, but not what I had in my head. There's always a dangerous side of that, but it was great. Everybody was back. The action was even more incredible. And even though it was kind of, I guess, superfluous in story and kind of convoluted in some way, it still is building up to something that went to a climatic and kind of an anticlimactic conclusion, in my opinion. But Matrix Reloaded was such a crazy, groundbreaking film at the time. I regretfully did not get a chance to see it in IMAX. It was also one of the first IMAX releases, not filmed in IMAX. It wasn't going to happen until Dark Knight, but it was like one of the earlier like IMAX releases where they just put it on an IMAX screen. That film played in theaters for a long time. And it was crazy because it wasn't like they made us wait a year. It was like literally May to November for Matrix 2 and 3. And that's probably a little bit further away than Back to the Future 2 and 3. It's probably the closest to that because like Pirates of the Caribbean or Avengers and stuff, they always had like a year apart, or Harry Potter even, where this was just like the same year of '03. And I have to say, that soundtrack, my sister got it for me. I love that soundtrack, Dreaming of Zion Away. I love it. POD, Rage Against the Machine, Linkin Park. Oh man, a simpler time to say the least. And I love the first Matrix soundtrack. That's one of my favorite. They had Du Hast by Rammstein, Wake Up by Rage Against the Machine. You have Dragula by Rob Zombie. The Matrix soundtracks have always been great. And that was like one of my favorite films that year. I love the action, and I could not wait for Halloween. It came out around October, or it might have been September actually. We didn't get it right away because sometimes stuff was expensive. We had to wait till it was on sale. So, and I was a kid then, so it's not like I am now where I have money. I can just go buy stuff when I want it. I wanted to be Neo, and the costumes were expensive. We found the twins. There's Trinity. I wanted to be Neo. It was out, so my mom took me to a thrift shop, and I got like a trench coat and had like the Neo look from like the first movie from like this. And I was Neo for Halloween. And I got sick around Halloween. I was actually sick with bronchitis on Halloween. I used to have real bad allergies and asthma, and around like the fall and winter seasons, I would get sick sometimes. That was the same year where I binged Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I saw Scream on AMC and the Halloween films. But my mother surprised me. We went to Walmart, or should I say, she went to Walmart. I was in bed at home. She calls me up at the house phone and then just says, "Hey, they have the Matrix Reloaded here for $9.99 on sale. Do you want it?" And I was just like, "Yes, absolutely. We just got a DVD player for the first time." And that was so incredible getting that DVD cover, the 2 discs there, the Fluke song on there with Zion on the main menu, seeing the making, hearing the surround sound. Uh, it really left me ready for Matrix 3, which ended on a bittersweet note for me. I'm glad we have Matrix 4. Despite the quality, I'm glad that Trinity and Neo got to go off into the sunset. But Reloaded, Say what you will about it, I love it just as much as the first movie. It's action packed. A lot of people older than me probably hated this film. There's a notion of like the Matrix sequels suck. I'm like, they're not as good as the first. Hell no. But they're still great stories that are a continuation of what was built up in the first movie. I like it. I like the twist of knowing that there wasn't really a one, that there was other ones and other Zions before. Seeing the Architect, seeing the MTV Movie Awards spoof was something that was incredible too that year. Let me say, but it was just so into the zeitgeist at that time that I always equate 2003 with this film, along with X-Men, Terminator, and Daredevil for me. That was like a pivotal moment in my life. And again, it was a moment where like I wanted to be a storyteller and filmmaker, but 2003 was a year where I realized it was a possibility. Maybe it was also the help of DVD special features and seeing how movies are made, but I always remember this movie very fondly. It was a transitional period from being a child to a teenager, and this film was a start of it. And I will never forget the first R movie I saw in theaters. Let me say that. What a better movie than Matrix Reloaded. And I love this film still. And on 4K, it's even more glorious with Dolby Vision. Oh my God, that and Dolby Atmos on this film is just incredible. The Chateau fight. Ah, and you had a teaser. That was like the longest set of credits. My dad didn't get a chance to see it, so it was my father and I went the second time, but it was my brother, mother. My mother was a parental guardian, and it was me. My father didn't get a chance to see it because, like I said, he was busy with work all the time, so we didn't get really to see that many movies together. And if we did, that's like our only time together was the movies. And it was my brother, father, and I. My brother didn't wait for the credits. I said there might be a sneak peek because I talked to one of my friends who saw it as well in middle school. And he said there's actually a sneak peek to Revolutions after it. I'm like, oh my God, how did I miss that? So we have to stay. Longest set of credits I've ever seen in my life. But it was cool seeing a sneak peek to 3. And while it does suffer from sequelitis, I have to say it's probably still my favorite second Keanu Reeves film to this day. It was great to get plugged in back to The Matrix. Anyway, those are just my brief memories and retrospective of The Matrix Reloaded for its 20th anniversary. Let me know your thoughts. When did you first see The Matrix Reloaded? What did you think of it? Let me know down in the comments below for its 20th anniversary. In the meantime, you can take the red pill and go further down the rabbit hole with these other videos on the channel. Subscribe for more content, and may everyone stay safe and healthy out there. I'm going to listen to some Matrix Reloaded music and probably watch the film. Yeah, give me some popcorn.